moving on to topic number 7, we're going to head to college football. And boy, Brendan, we grew up in the 90s. We kind of, went to college in the early to mid 2000s. And don't you remember the big 3 Florida schools being awesome at football? Florida State, Miami, and then the Florida Gators. And now it's like you look at the 3 teams, and Florida State's 4-6, Florida's 5-5, and Miami's 5-5. And Miami was projected to be like a top 10 team this year. What is going on with these 3 Florida college football teams? It's just such a struggle this season.
Number 1 to me is the passion for the program and the passion to play. I don't see it. I don't see it from any of these teams. They are like a dumpster fire, honestly, especially Florida State. And I hate to say that. That is my number 1 school. I've loved them since I was a little kid, but we've talked about them on this show earlier this season. There he goes, bringing it up. I knew you were going to do that, producer Ben. With this guy dropping a knee, did not care about losing that game. I think that goes around. Losing is contagious, man. And once it starts happening, people start giving a shit, per se. And this, I think, has happened across this big 3, unfortunately. And like you said, this is 3 schools that were dominant, not only on the field, but off the field in recruiting, too. That's where it's really hurting them, because they've been so weak on the field that the big recruits just don't want to go there anymore right now. The only thing that's luring you down there is the Florida weather at this point right now. But when you can go much better places, like maybe even Penn State's doing better right now, like USC, there's so many other college football teams. North Carolina is a better program right now than all 3 of those teams. That is sad, man. So it's just really one of those things where their programs are hurting right now. They've got to look to invest more money. They might even have to look to a coaching change again. I've been saying Florida State should fire their coach for years now. They need it. They go from a decent coach. The program's doing decent. Now they're doing worse. So it's like with this new coach that's now been there for a few years, the honeymoon's over, man. This is, the top college teams in America. People want to see him win. The alumni wants to see him win. The boosters want to see him win. If you don't win, it's time to go. Let somebody else come in here, see if they can fix these programs. The one program that I don't think they should fire their coach is Miami. I do think they have the right coach there. I think he still can get his players to be passionate. They've just got to recruit better. They've got to get some better players in the pads. We've talked about this in the past. As a coach, you can have all the X's and O's you want, but if you don't have the Joes to pull off those X's and O's, then you got nothing, man. So I think Miami's got to recruit better, but I think Florida State and Florida need a full reset, fire their coaches, and move on.
Yeah, I think what you said before, too, is the biggest indicator here is recruiting. Recruiting has always been the biggest thing with college football. Who are the top 2 teams in college football right now? Or arguably, it's Alabama and Georgia, which are right next to Florida. If you go to the first game of the season, Alabama played Miami on September 4th. There were 8 players on Alabama who were from South Florida. South Florida, Miami used to crush it down there. And now Alabama's taking all those players. The year before, when Alabama won the national championship, 15 of their players were from Florida. And now Georgia's right there doing it too. And that's what's happening. They are getting the recruits. If you were crushing Florida, if you're these 3 teams, because there's plenty of players down there, you can kind of all like divvy them up and get top recruits from the entire state. If you kill it in Florida, if you're one of these 3 teams, you really don't have to go anywhere else. I mean, you can maybe get a player from Georgia or the Carolinas, but you can have a stacked team if you recruit well in Florida. But all those players are going to Alabama. Look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones went to Alabama, and he's from the Jacksonville area. He should have been a shoo-in to go to the University of Florida. I know Kyle Trask was there, so that's a little different. Mac Jones was recruited to go to Alabama when Tua Tagovailoa was already there and was the savior, not the savior, but he was sort of the up-and-coming quarterback as soon as he became a freshman. Mac Jones still went to Alabama knowing that he would have to sit at least 3 seasons behind Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, and
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, and he still went there because of how good Alabama is at recruiting. And you have, so Miami, Florida, FSU, they're not getting the recruits anymore. That's the biggest thing, is they're not getting their own in-state recruits. The luster has kind of worn off of these 3 programs. Miami, love the turnover chain, but that's not getting kids recruited. Okay. You got to get more. You got to get guys like, Ray Lewis and Vince Wilfork and Ed Reed and, some of these other guys that are Miami, Andre Johnson and some of these other Miami alums who were there in the heyday, and get them out recruiting and get them to talk to kids and say, this is a great place to be. This is a great place to attend college. I don't know if you want Michael Irvin out there because Miami was a little different when he was there, but even though I love the playmaker, but yeah, they have to recruit better. I think that's the biggest thing for these Florida football teams.
Yeah, that's funny. I was definitely going to bring up Michael Irvin and see what you said if you want him on the trail out there. But you bring up a good point. I mean, I think they could help with recruiting all NFL players. A lot of them NFL Hall of Famers, right? So they could definitely help with recruiting. I would be toting that as much as I could. And then I've been talking about this. I've said it on this show before. For Florida State, you go out, you hire Coach Deion Sanders. Yep. What is more better than that? That guy is going to bring in all the recruits right there based off of he's fun to play for. He's one of the greatest players of all time. And he's a former alumni of the team. So that's their answer there. For Florida, I don't know what your answer is there. Your team's so weak right now. But firing Dan Mullen is definitely the right call. I've sent you that tweet the other day where Dan Mullen just thinks he can throw on a pair of Jordans and try to act cool, and that's going to bring in all the recruits. It's not how it works, brother. Freaking Nick Saban goes in there with, 6, 7 rings, puts them on the table. That's how it works, buddy. That's how it works, the rings. So, yeah, they've got a long way to go, but definitely they've got a lot of fixing to do in those big 3 in Florida. But we'll see if they can do it going forward. Let's move on tonight to topic number 8. McDavid getting